and welcome to our founders interview segment with our CEO and founder, Ash Vipani. This episode today is going to be focused on father and CEO, which is exactly what Ash is. And just to align with Father's Day yesterday, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. So yeah, that's what we're discussing today, and we hope you enjoy. Ash and his wife welcomed a lovely baby earlier this year, so we want to get a bit of insight on how that sort of impacted Ash, changed the way he's worked, and yeah, get a bit more of an idea. So Ash, you and your wife welcomed a lovely baby earlier this year. How has that changed you? Quite a broad question, but yeah, how has that changed you? Personal life, work life?
Yeah, it's definitely changed me, right? It's changed the dynamics of my life. I lived in the city. I worked in the city for many years. Just before my baby boy Kai was born, we moved to the suburbs, as you do. You live in an apartment, and lack of outdoor space.
Yeah.
People being drunk at 3 a.m. in the morning. You kind of think, well, I've had enough of all of this. So we moved to the suburbs, and we're living a much quieter lifestyle, which is really good. I would say that the dynamics have completely changed. Outside of just working, work doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It's you finish at 6 o'clock, and you're changing nappies, you're doing the feed, you're doing the bath. You're putting the baby to sleep, and then you're going back to work again, right?
Yeah.
So the dynamics have completely changed, and obviously supporting my wife is paramount in, helping her to, manage our baby boy as well. But I think if I kind of look at it from a granular perspective, it definitely changes you as an individual as well. You've got somebody else there that is leaning on you for support. They need your help to grow into, a young man in the future, right? They're relying on you for emotional support and relying on you to help them with feeding and changing and, but also nurturing them in terms of learning as well.
Yeah. 100%.
So you're kind of your go-to person, for the next 18 years, as a lot of people tell me. God, that's a long, far ahead. Scares me slightly.
Go too quickly.
Yeah, and it's definitely challenging at times. It takes you to the edge, right?
Yeah.
And it's definitely hard work. There are days where you kind of feel like, wow, how am I going to cope? Where it changes the dynamics also is financially. You've got a much bigger commitment in your life. Yeah, where you can't afford to lose your house or not pay your bills or not be able to put food on the table. And there are lots of people probably going through this because we are going through, a financial change, in the UK and in other countries as well. A lot has happened over the last, 2 years. So there's a lot of pressure on, making sure that your kid is okay and your family's okay, right? The pressure's definitely on.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the state of the world at the moment definitely shows that for a lot of people. Yeah, 100%. And then in terms of, being a CEO and a founder, a CEO of SupportRoom, takes a lot of time and effort and mainly, mental strength as well. How are you balancing that between being a father and making sure that, you have enough of you to go around?
I'll be honest with you, at the beginning, it was really difficult. You have a startup that has huge demand on you as an individual. You're wearing so many hats across the business. You need to be involved. You can't just step away because as much as you can say, I can delegate, you've got to support your employees. You've got to support their growth. But if also you've got to steer the business in the right direction. Sometimes your business better than anybody else because you started it and you're passionate about it and you know where that vision needs to go. So it's a difficult process, but I think you have to kind of look at what you're doing and start balancing it. That's the key. And, as I said, I made lots of errors and overworking myself, working ridiculous hours, sometimes not even stopping, not eating correctly, not doing any exercise. Just the business completely takes over you as an individual. Someone said this to me actually about 6 months ago, and it was an investor. They're an owner of a large healthcare organization. They said, even though you're having your first baby, but you've actually had your first baby already.
Yeah.
And they said, it's your business. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is always going to be your priority. You're never going to be able to kind of, you settle until you drive that success. And even when it's successful, you'd be so attached to it. Yeah. What I realized was working the way that I was didn't actually have a lot of benefits, because you can't think straight, right? If you haven't eaten properly, if you're overworked, you're tired, yeah, you're exhausted. So I had to evaluate and really start understanding what things can wait, what things can't be addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Start exercising for my own wellness, right? And start delegating and supporting my team, where actually they could actually drive a lot of these initiatives and have need less input from me as an individual, because the business also becomes their baby and they become passionate about what we're doing, right? And Sasha, you're a prime example of this, where where you started to where you are today. I don't need to say anything to you. You just
Yeah,
you know exactly what to do, and you treat it like you own this business as well, which is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So I think removing all the barriers which were affecting me allowed me to start balancing all of the areas that I wasn't doing the right things within. But also that also meant that I could start supporting my wife better, because I had more time. Yeah, and time is key here. Not working on the weekends, which means that I can now wake up in the morning and spend time with my boy, right? I can take him to the park. On a Sunday, I can actually spend loads of time with him, and at the same time support my wife with the help that she needs. Historically, a Sunday morning would come and I would end up working the whole day, right? Because of our Middle East operation.
Yeah.
So that really made it tough. But now I don't need to do that. I think on the other hand, I now switch off at 6 o'clock, right? And I make it a rule that whatever I'm doing, it can wait. Because the most important thing here is at 6 o'clock, my boy is still awake. I can go down and spend an hour with him. I can also do bath time with him, right? And then in the evening, I can let my wife relax, and I can do the things that are quite hard for her to do because she's so exhausted. Like washing the bottles, the most simplest thing. But it's just about adjusting your calendar and your schedule and your workload, and making sure that in between you're also doing the right things as well. Eat better, manage your time better, do exercise, all of the basics that we already know. It's really about executing on them, or really doing them. And not forgetting about your health as an individual. If you're unhealthy, this business is not going to run anyway, or you're not going to be able to perform in your role within a company. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. And what you said about people within the team taking it on as their own initiative and things, I think we've seen that grow quite a lot as well, which as well as giving you a bit more time. And obviously I can see you've come a long way in terms of like overworking and long hours and stuff like that. So it's really, really good as well. You need to put, I think many people forget that they need to put their, themselves and their families first a lot of the time, outside of working hours. But yeah, and then in terms of, working remotely and having a baby at home, what are the pros and cons of that, being on meetings and things like that?
See, I've got strong opinions about this. I think for me, it works brilliantly, right? Because even though my wife says, God, I wish I could get more help from you, I always say to her, what if I was in the office?
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be here for like 9 or 10 hours, where she can literally knock on the door and say, I need your help. And I can help her when she needs it during the day as well.
Yeah.
So for remote, for me, you know, also for other individuals that have got family and kids and responsibilities, etc., it works because, you know, if I was to get on a train to go to the city right now, I'd probably waste an hour. Yeah. Whereas I can wake up, get ready, have my coffee, my breakfast, straight to my desk, and I can start doing meetings from 8:30 in the morning. Yeah. And start my day. So that whole commute actually goes away. So I can be a lot more effective. Now, let's flip this as well. I think for the younger millennials, do I think it's effective? Now, everyone's got their own opinions.
Yeah.
I think for some, it works. But I remember back when I used to work in an office around a team, around managers, etc. I learned so much, right? It helped me to progress in my career. It helped me to be motivated and be driven. But I don't think in this day and age we need to be fully in the office. I don't know if you agree, Sasha, but I think having a hybrid model in place actually is quite nice. So
I back
Sasha,
the hybrid.
yeah, so Sasha, you go into an office maybe once or twice a week around people, right? It makes a huge difference to your wellness, yeah, your well-being, yeah, and you know it makes you feel like you're a part of a team as well. But at the same time, you get your freedom because you've got the flexibility to work from home.
Exactly.
I also think from a learning perspective as well, I think if you're working as a young millennial in just working from home on your own in silo, you know, outside of team calls or Zoom calls, what are you learning,
Yeah,
right? How do
exactly.
you go to the next stage or the next step? You know, I learned so much from the person sitting next to me or having a one-to-one with my manager or going out for a beer with, you know, colleagues. And, you know, you've always got some colleagues that love work chat, right? They can't stop. But you learn things from them. And also you're around people that are successful. And those successful people take you to the next level. I can think back at my first job and my sales director, you know, having hard conversations with him. Yeah. But at the same time, I grasped so much and I can remember some of those conversations and I adapt them to what I do today. Right. And I've done that every job I've ever had through my career. So I think there definitely needs to be more support around the young millennials if they're working in that remote environment. And if they are working in that remote environment, you know, we work in that fashion, then we need to do a little bit more for those individuals, more coaching, more support, you know, more team sessions, you know, group sessions, etc. But I think for individuals like me, because you was asking me how I cope, it works perfectly for me, you know, in my lifestyle. But then I might be talking too much here. I still miss being in the office. I miss being around other people, that engagement around that excitement about work, right? Being celebrating together in the same place. And, you know, in the UK, my goal is to have an office again. Yeah, I'm really keen on this. People don't have to come in every day, but we come in on set days and we work as a team. So it's good for me and it's good for the people around me.
Good. And this is, you know, more just a question for you. What is your favorite in terms of like your personal life? What is your favorite thing about being a father? What do you think it's taught you? Has it taught you anything new? Have you learned anything new about yourself that maybe you didn't really know before?
I'm always honest about everything. You know, I try my best. I don't get attached to things, right? So I didn't think a baby would really attach me to a person in the way it has. It's the most amazing thing that will ever happen to any individual. And it definitely connects you on a different level. And I think that's one thing it taught me is that, you know, I can show love on a different level to another human being, outside of my wife, obviously. And then the other thing here is with my son, it taught me to be a lot more patient, you know, to think about the things that are around me in terms of, you know, the environment, how I can make him a better individual, right? By spending time with him. You know, if I don't spend time with him, then he is not going to know me. He's not going to have a relationship with me. but he's also not going to grow, right?
Oh,
So I realized that me and my wife are a tag team. We have to work in the same direction. We have to work together to really kind of develop him as an individual and make sure that he has a happy home, yeah, that he feels a part of for the foreseeable future until he goes to university or
yeah.
whatever he does. And what do I love with my son? I love playtime. You know,
Good.
I love playing with him, and have playing with his toys, and some of the toys I'm even playing with.
Yeah, they're more for you than for him, maybe.
Yeah, I love gadgets. So I'm looking at things, and my wife's going, "He's not ready for that yet, Ash."
And you want to buy like the high tech toys.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
look, fun time with him is great, and bath time is great as well. That's our bonding, to be fair. My
yeah,
wife's the more serious person, and then he looks at me like that's the fun guy over there.
yeah. Yeah, good, good. Well, thank you, Ash, for your time today. It's been great to sort of get an insight of your life as a father, as well as obviously the CEO of SupportRoom. So yeah, that's been fantastic. And everyone keep an eye out for our next segment of the founders interview. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sasha.